Professor S. M. D. Ghaus worked as Senior Professor and Head of Physics Department at New College, Chennai. Before joining New College, he worked at C. Abdul Hakim College, Melvisharam in Vellore district as Physics teaching faculty. He served 36 years as Physics faculty for UG and PG. After retirement, he worked for 4 years as Head of Physics Department in SRM institutions. He also served as teaching faculty of Physics for 1 year at Saudi Arabia. His areas of interest are thermal physics and electricity. He studied BSc Physics from New College, post-graduation in Annamalai University and completed his MPhil at Presidency College, Chennai. He has presented and published 4 papers in crystal growth in national journals.
Welcome to UGC lecture series in physics. Today we are going to see the important branch of physics, that is dynamics. Before that, dynamics is a part of mechanics. Mechanics deals with the bodies which are at rest and in motion, and normally the modern research and development of spacecraft and automatic control engines all are based on the basic principle of mechanics. Mechanics can be divided into 2 parts. One is statics, another is dynamics. Statics is dealing with the motion of the object when it is at rest. For example, if you take a book, a force is acting on the book. What are the effect of the force which is acting on a body which is at rest? Then dynamics deals with bodies which are in motion. Suppose if you take a car, it is moving. When you apply a brake, the change in motion is caused by the application of the force, that is called dynamics. Now, dynamics is the study of moving objects. It comes from Greek word dynamics, which means power. Dynamics is further divided into kinematics and kinetics. Kinetics is the study of relationship between displacement, velocity, acceleration and time of the given motion without considering the forces that cause the motion. Kinematics deals with the relationship between the motion of the bodies and forces acting on them. Today we are going to see the motion when the force is acting on the body, and also we are going to see what is center of mass and example of center of mass, the relationship between center of mass and center of gravity. Then we are going to see what is Newton's laws of motion and the third law of motion, what is the relationship between third law of motion and conservation of momentum, and the application of conservation of momentum, what is impulse and what is the impulsive force. All these things we are going to see in this lecture. First of all, I am going to discuss some of the important definition. What is a particle? A particle is just a piece or quantity of matter having practically no linear dimension, but only a position. When a body does not change its position with respect to time, then it is said to be at rest. Motion is the change of position of the object with respect to time. To study the motion of the object, one has to study the change in the object, one has to study the change in the position x, y, z coordinates of the object with respect to the surrounding. When I say a body is at rest means, suppose I am sitting in the chair, it is the body is at rest. Motion means when a car is moving, it is a motion. See, motion can be explained only on the basis of the x, y, z coordinates. Then it may be noted that the position of the object changes even due to change in 1, 2 or all the 3 coordinates of the position of the objects with respect to time. Thus, motion can be classified into 3 types. Motion is one dimension. Motion of the object is said to be one dimensional if only one of the 3 coordinates specifying the position of the object changes with respect to time. Example, an ant moving in a straight line, running athlete. Motion in 2 dimension. In this type, the motion is represented by any 2 of the 3 coordinates. Example, a body moving in a plane. Motion in 3 dimension. Motion of a body is said to be 3 dimensional if all the three coordinates of the body change with respect to time. Motion of a flying bird, motion of a kite in the sky, motion of the molecule, etc. Now, motion along a straight line, motion in one dimension, that is called rectilinear motion. This motion along a straight line is known as rectilinear motion. The important position required to study the motion along the straight line are position, displacement, velocity and acceleration. Motion can also be classified into various categories. Just now I told motion along a straight line is called rectilinear motion, but there is circular motion also is there. When a body moves around a circle, it is called a circular motion. A body, when it moves to and fro, it is called oscillatory motion. For example, you take a simple pendulum, it moves to and fro. So, this is called oscillatory motion. And also, when a body moves up and down, it is called vibratory motion. So, now I am going to tell the important parameters regarding the straight line motion or rectilinear motion: position, displacement, distance travelled by the particle. The motion of a particle can be described if its position is known continuously with respect to time. See, there is a difference between displacement and distance. The motion of a particle can be described if the position is known continuously with respect to time. The total length of the path is distance travelled by the particle, and the shortest distance between the initial and final position of the particle is the displacement. The distance travelled by a particle, however, is different from displacement from the origin. For example, if the particle moves from part P1 and then to position P2, its displacement at the position is minus x2 from the origin, but the distance travelled by the particle is x1 plus x1 plus x2, that is 2x1 plus x2. The distance travelled is scalar quantity and the displacement is vector quantity. What do you mean by scalar quantity? Scalar quantity means it is only the magnitude. For example, if you take a car, it goes with 10 miles per hour, it is called scalar quantity because it has got only magnitude. Vector quantity means a car goes in a particular direction, it is going through one particular direction, and moreover it has got 10 miles per hour, it has got both magnitude and direction. This is called vector quantity. Example for scalar quantity, that is temperature and also pressure. Example for vector quantity is acceleration, force, momentum, these are all example for vector quantity. Speed and velocity. Speed is the distance travelled in unit time, it is scalar quantity. For example, a car goes with a speed of 10 miles per hour, it is speed. At the same time, the velocity of the particle is defined as the rate of change of displacement of the particle. It is defined as the speed of the particle in a given direction. It is a vector quantity. It has got both magnitude and direction. Uniform velocity. A particle is said to move with uniform velocity if it moves in a fixed direction and it covers equal in displacement in equal interval of time, however small interval of time may be. For example, if a car goes 10 miles per hour in the first hour, then in the second hour also it is going with the same magnitude 10 miles per hour, it is said to be doing uniform velocity. Now, in a displacement time graph, the slope is constant at all points when the particles moves with uniform velocity. Then non-uniform velocity or variable velocity. The velocity is variable non-uniform if it covers unequal displacement in equal interval of time, or if the direction of the motion changes, or if both rate of motion and direction changes. For example, if the car goes 10 miles per hour in first hour, then 12 miles per hour, that is unequal displacement and equal interval of time, it is called non-uniform velocity. Average velocity. Let S1 be the displacement of the time t1 and S2 be the displacement t2, then average velocity during the time interval t1 minus t2 is equal to S1 minus S2. So, change in displacement by change in time is equal to S2 minus S1 by t2 minus t1 is equal to delta S by delta t. Instantaneous velocity. It is the velocity at any given instant of time or any given point of its path. The instantaneous velocity v is given by delta s by delta t is equal to ds by dt. Acceleration. If the magnitude or direction or both of the velocity changes with respect to time, the particle is said to be under acceleration. Acceleration of the particle is defined as the rate of change of velocity. Acceleration is a vector quantity. Acceleration is equal to change in velocity by time taken. If use the initial velocity v the final velocity of the particle after time t, then acceleration is equal to a is equal to v minus u by t. Its unit meter per second squared. Acceleration a is equal to dv by dt. Instantaneous acceleration a is equal to d by dt of ds by dt d squared s by dt squared. Uniform acceleration. If the velocity changes by equal amount is equal interval of time, however small these intervals of time may be, the acceleration is said to be uniform. Suppose if a car is going with a velocity 35 miles per hour, after 1 hour it becomes 45 miles per hour, then another 1 hour 45, like that if the change of velocity takes place at the steps of 5 miles per hour, that is there is equal change of velocity takes place. This is called uniform acceleration. Retardation or deceleration. If the velocity decreases with the time, the acceleration is negative. The negative acceleration is called retardation or deceleration. For example, if a car goes with a velocity of 45 miles per hour, after 1 hour it reduces to 40 miles per hour, then after another hour it becomes 5 decrease, like that it is going on. Equal decrease will cause retardation. A particle is in uniform motion when it moves with constant velocity, that is 0 acceleration. Graphical represented. The graph provides a convenient present pictorially basic information about variety of events. Line graphs are used to show the relationship of the quantity, say displacement or velocity, with another quantity such as time. If the displacement, velocity, acceleration of the particle are plotted with respect to time, they are known as displacement time graph, velocity time graph, acceleration to time graph. Displacement time graph. When the displacement of the particle is plotted as function of time, it is displacement time graph. Here v is equal to ds by dt. Here the slope of the st graph at any instant gives the velocity of the particle at that instant. Now here s1 is equal to displacement. When the velocity of the particle is plotted as a function of time, it is velocity time graph, as a is equal to dv by dt. The slope of the vt curve at any instant gives the action of the particle, but v is equal to ds by dt or ds is equal to v dt if the displacements are s1 and s2 in times t1 and t2, So, integral of s1 to s2 ds is equal to integral of t1 to t2 v into dt, that is s2 minus s1 is equal to integral of t1 to dt v dt is equal to area a b c d. The area under the vt curve between the given intervals of time gives the change in the displacement or the distance travelled by the particle during the same interval. Acceleration time graph. When the acceleration is plotted as a function of time, it is acceleration time graph. If the velocities are v1 and v2 and time is t1 and t2. So, a is equal to dv by dt or dv is equal to a dt. If the velocities are v1 and v2 at times t1 and t2 respectively, then integral of v1 to v2 dv is equal to integral of t1 to dt a dt or v2 minus v1 is equal to integral of t1 to tt a dt, that is equal to area pqrs. The area under the at curve between the given intervals of time gives the change in the velocity of the particle during the same interval. If the graph is parallel to the time axis, the body moves with constant acceleration. Equation of motion. For uniformly accelerated motion, some simple equation that relate displacement s a time t, initial velocity u, final velocity v and acceleration a are obtained. First, as acceleration of the body at any instant is given by the first derivative of the velocity with respect to time, a is equal to dv by dt or dv is equal to a into dt. If the velocity of the body changes from u to v in time t, then from the above equation integral of u to v dv is equal to integral of 0 to t a dt is equal to integral of a into 0 to t a dt is equal to v, that is integral limits v u, that is equal to a integral limits t t 0 v minus u is equal to a t or v is equal to a t. A is equal to dvt or dv is equal to a dt. If the velocity of the body changes from u to v in time t, then from the above equation u to v dv is equal to 0 to t, a dt is equal to a into 0 to dt. So, finally, you are getting v minus u is equal to a t or v is equal to u plus a t. Second equation, the velocity of the body is given by the first derivative of the displacement with respect to time, that is v is equal to ds by dt or ds is equal to v into dt. Since v is equal to u plus a t, ds is equal to u plus a t dt. The distance s covered in time t is integral 0 to s ds is equal to integral 0 to t u dt plus integral 0 to t a t dt or s is equal to u t plus of a t square. Third equation, the acceleration is given by the first derivative of the velocity with respect to time, that is a is equal to dv by dt, that is equal to dv by ds into ds by dt, that is dv by ds into v. Since v is equal to ds by dt or ds is equal to 1 by a v into dv. Therefore, integral of 0 to s ds is equal to integral of u to v v dv by a, that is s is equal to half within bracket v squared by 2 minus u squared by 2, s is equal to 1 by 2 a is equal to v squared minus u squared or 2 a s is equal to v squared minus u squared, v squared is equal to u squared plus 2 a s. The equation 1, 2 and 3 are called equations of motion. Now, we have studied all the 3 equations of motion with respect to the fundamental definitions. Now, we are passing on to the next topic, that is called center of mass. Every body is collection of large number of tiny particles. In transitory motion of a body, every particle experiences equal displacement with time. Therefore, motion of the whole body may be represented by a particle, but when the body rotates or vibrates during the transitory motion, then its motion can be represented by point on the body that moves in the same way as that of a single particle subjected to the same external force would move. A point in the system at which the whole mass of the body is supposed to be concentrated is called center of mass of the body. Therefore, if a system contains 2 or more particles, its transitory motion can be described by the motion of the center of mass of the system. Center of mass of 2 particle system. Let us consider a system consisting of 2 particles of masses m1 and m2. p1 and p2 are their position at time t and r1 and r2 are the corresponding distances from origin O as shown. Then the velocity and acceleration are given. Now, here O is the origin and the position of the first particle is p1, it is at a distance r1, the second particle is p2 which is at a distance r2. Now, v1 velocity of the first particle is given by equation 1 dr1 by dt, second particle a1 is equal to d1 v1 by dt, v2 is equal to dr2 by dt, a2 is equal to dv2 d2. The particle p1 experiences 2 forces, a force F12 due to the particle at p2 and force F1e, the external force due to some particle external to the system. If F1 is the resultant of these 2 forces, F1 is equal to F12 plus F1a. Similarly, the net force F2 acting on the particle p2 is F2 is equal to F21 plus F2a. where F21 is the force exerted by the particle at P1 and P2 by using Newton's second law of motion. F1 is equal to m1a1 and F2 is equal to m2a2. Adding equation 7 and 8, m1a1 plus m2a2 is equal to F1 plus F2. Substituting F1 and F2 from equation 5 and 6, m1a1 plus m2a2 is equal to F12 plus F1e plus F21 plus F2e. By Newton's third law, the internal force F12 exerted by the particle at a point P2 on the particle at P1 is equal and opposite to F21, the force exerted by the particle at P1 and P2. So, F12 is equal to minus F21 according to Newton's third law. Therefore, F is equal to F1e plus F2e. M1a1 plus M2a2 is equal to F, where F is the net external force acting on the system. The total mass of the system is given by M is equal to M1 plus M2. Let the net external force F acting on the system produces an acceleration ACM called the acceleration of the center of mass of the system. By Newton's second law, for the system of two particles, F is equal to MACM. From 10 and 12, MACM is equal to M1A1 plus M2A2. Let RCM be the position of the vector of the center of the mass. ACM is equal to d square RCM by dt square, that is equation 1. From 13 and 14, d square RCM by dt square is equal to 1 by m into m1 d squared r by dt square plus m2 d squared r2 by dt square. D square RCM dt square is equal to 1 by m d square by dt square plus m1 r1 plus m2 r2. So, RCM is equal to 1 by m m1 r1 plus m2 r2. RCM is equal to m1 r1 plus m2 r2, m1 plus m2. This equation gives the position of the center of mass of the system comprising of two particles of mass m1 and m2. If the masses are equal, m1 is equal to m2, then the position vector of the center of mass is equal to RCM is equal to r1 plus r2 by 2, which means the center of mass lies exactly in the middle of the line joining the two masses. Center of mass of a body consisting of n particles. For a system consisting of n particles with masses m1, m2, m3 up to mn with position vectors r1, r2, r3 up to rn, the total mass of the system is m is equal to m1, m2, m3 plus up to mn. The position of vector RCM of the center of mass with respect to origin O is given by RCM is equal to m1 r1 plus m2 r2 up to mn rn divided by m1 plus m2 up to mn, that is sigma mi ri, where I is equal to 1 in lower limit, upper limit is n divided by mi, lower limit I is equal to 1, upper limit is equal to n, that is equal to sigma I is equal to 1, upper limit n mi xi divided by capital M. The x coordinate and a coordinate of the center of mass of the system are x is equal to m1 x1, m2 x2 up to mn xn divided by m1 plus m2 up to mn, and y coordinate is m1 y1 plus m2 y2 up to mn yn divided by m1 m2 mn. So, center of mass of a body consisting of n particles. Example for motion of center of mass. Let us consider the motion of center of mass of the earth and moon system. The moon moves around the earth in a circular orbit and the earth moves around the sun in a elliptical orbit. It is more correct to say that the earth and the moon both move in a circular orbits about their common center of mass in a elliptical orbit. For system consisting of the earth and moon, their mutual gravitational attractions are the internal forces in the system, and sun's attraction on both the earth and moon are the external forces acting on the center of mass of the system. The center of gravity. Suppose if you take a body, the body is consist of so many particles. Each particle is attracted by earth. So, each particle it is contributing a line of force. So, there is parallel lines of force. So, the resultant of the line of force will act at a particular point. that is called center of gravity. The center of gravity can be explained as a single point in which the whole weight of the body acts, whatever may be its position. Suppose a body consists of so many particles W1, W2, W3. So, the resultant of all the particles act at a single point, that point is called center of gravity. Now, the center of gravity, weight is proportional to mass. So, the center of mass coincides with the center of gravity. So far, I have been discussing with what is force and what is motion, etc. Then, what is the center of mass? The point at which the whole mass is supposed to act is called center of mass, and I told you example of center of mass also. Then, what are the important points, parameters in a motion? All these things I explained you. Now, the important questions which I am going to tell, what is the relationship between velocity, acceleration and how it is represented by a graph? Then what are the equations of motion? Then what is center of mass and example for center of mass, and what is the relationship between center of mass and center of gravity? So, we have come to end of the session. Thank you.